All right, let's jump right into today's explainer. We are looking at that exact intersection where corporate ethics collide with real-world business survival. We're going to dig into source material that takes those lofty theoretical frameworks and literally turns them into a practical survival kit for the modern enterprise. Okay, let's dive into this. So, why do so many startups fail? It's the multi-million-dollar question that keeps entrepreneurs up at night, right? Well, our source material frames this not as some dry academic exercise, but as the ultimate survival kit. The idea is simple. By analyzing the downfall of others, you basically bulletproof your own future. You are essentially studying the mistakes of others to ensure your own success down the line. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll cover the anatomy of business failure, protecting your intellectual property, the startup survival kit, gender equity and inclusion, and finally, becoming an ethical leader.
Part 1. The Anatomy of Business Failure.
This right here isn't just about reading up on failure. It's a blueprint for becoming a corporate detective. First, you assess a failed business plan. Then, you pinpoint the exact ethical or operational gaps. And then, this is absolutely crucial, you architect viable solutions. You generate a solid APA article and present it, which is a 10-mark activity in this framework. Presenting these findings rigorously trains you to spot disasters way before they happen. It teaches you to critically build the solutions.
Let's move to part 2 and see how this builds. Protecting your intellectual property.
Now, our source material really hammers home the importance of intellectual property rights, or IPR. But get this, it's not just about guarding your profits. It's about employing the awareness of IPR to actively avoid or solve unethical practices in your professional life. It's a foundational step. By understanding the significance and the duration of these rights, you're actively enforcing ethical citizenship and drawing a very clear boundary line to protect your hard-earned innovations from theft or misuse.
And this brilliantly illustrates how multi-layered that shield really is. You've got your basics, like copyrights for creative and authored works, trademarks for your brand identity and logos, and patents for new inventions. But the source material pushes further. You're looking at protecting product aesthetics with industrial designs, guarding regional authenticity through geographical indications, and locking down confidential business data with trade secrets. Together, all of these form a completely robust defense system against unethical conduct in the marketplace.
Part 3. The Startup Survival Kit. So, we've got our shield, but now we need the engine. The source identifies 3 core startup skills you absolutely must have: financial literacy, risk assessment, and data analysis. It's fascinating, honestly, because these are hard, highly quantifiable skills, yet they are housed squarely within a corporate ethics framework. Why is that? Because lacking these specific skills directly leads to the very gaps and failures we discussed in our corporate autopsy earlier. Think about it. If you can't read the financials, if you can't assess market risks, and if you can't analyze the data right in front of you, you simply cannot make ethical, sustainable decisions. This is the practical engine that keeps a startup running efficiently.
Next up, Part 4. Gender Equity and Inclusion.
Take a look at the stark contrast here between 2 very different levels of ethical commitment. On one side, you have standard compliance, your basic corporate code of conduct, the professional rules. But the framework pushes way beyond that, demanding active gender equity and inclusivity. It requires a critical evaluation of socioeconomic and discriminatory issues. It is literally the difference between just checking a compliance box for HR and actively emulating equality and open-mindedness across all your teams and sectors. Actually pulling off this active inclusivity, well, that requires some serious practical application. By analyzing case studies both locally in India and globally and actively implementing corporate social responsibility, you move from just passively recognizing a problem to actively architecting a human-centric solution. You're tasked with fostering real inclusivity at the workplace and generating viable, solution-based articles, another 10-mark activity, proving you can solve complex social challenges.
And that brings us to our final section, Part 5, Becoming an Ethical Leader.
So the crucial point is that all of these elements culminate in one core objective from our source material: to emerge as a productive team member and a progressive leader. Mastering intellectual property, building those hard startup skills, and championing active equity, it isn't just about passing a test. It's a transformative process specifically designed to turn you into a leader fully equipped to navigate the crazy complexities of the modern corporate world.
Ultimately, this is the toolkit you're going to walk away with. A progressive leader must utilize professional, moral, and ethical principles to clearly and instantly identify wrong conduct. They don't just point out ethical dilemmas in the professional world, they resolve them practically, stepping up to suggest viable solutions as a unified team.
It is all about taking theoretical frameworks and applying them as everyday operational tools.
We've seen how studying failures, mastering protections, building hard skills, and championing inclusion create a truly comprehensive survival kit. The question now comes down to execution. Will your future enterprise end up as a cautionary tale for someone else's corporate autopsy, or will you use these exact tools to build a blueprint for ethical, long-lasting success? The choice is entirely yours. Thanks for joining me on This Explainer.